You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Hello everyone. In today's mod guide video, we're taking a look at the Save Our Station mod by Space Woot and some smaller map mods that don't overhaul the map, but instead add new locations to see and explore within the base game. Before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to Kato Phoenix for her lovely artwork. And now, let's start with the star of the show, Save Our Station. You ever find yourself bored in the late game? You've been alive for 3 months or more and you're just like, I don't have anything to do. I've already maxed out my skills, and I have no real reason to keep going into towns for loot. Well, this mod seeks to fix that by adding something new to do that's only available once the power grid fails in Knox County. Once this happens, there's a chance after a couple of weeks for the emergency broadcast system to fail. Once it starts spasming out, it'll output over the radio that is trying to identify the issue and reboot to sort the problem. This may take several in-game days for the system to identify the deficiency, and when it figures out the issue, the radio text will turn yellow. Then it starts trying to identify which station is having the issue. Once the computers determine which station's faulty, then the radio text will turn red, and the emergency broadcast system will spit out what's wrong with the system and where the system is located, such as Rivs 500. And it will also tell you how long till the emergency system goes down entirely. So great, now we have an idea of the issue and where it's at. But now how do we find it or how to fix the problem? Well, that's simple. We scavenge for these 2 books that'll serve as our guides. You'll have to search hard for these though. They're a rare spawn. So hit your local library, bookstore, post office, or scrounge every single bookshelf you can. The books you're looking for is the NWS Register and the NWS Diagnostics Manual. According to the mod creator, if you happen to stumble upon the radio stations without the books, there's a good chance of it spawning within the station. Now let's start with what each book does. The Register, it's basically a map of the entirety of Knox County and shows where all 5 of the weather stations are, at least if you have the annotated version, within the vanilla map. It also serves as a fantastically useful in-game map for those who don't use mini-maps but want a good charting of many of the roads within the game. The Diagnostic Manual, on the other hand, helps you interpret whatever code and error message the emergency system is spitting out and will let you know what part or piece of equipment you need to fix it. These are both very helpful pieces of kit, and one nice thing about the stations is they tend to spawn a large amount of hardware gear, and oftentimes will have the things you need to fix the stations up. The mod also adds more places of interest around these new stations to give you a bit more to explore and loot. Great, now you've gotten it fixed, but it's only a matter of time till the system fails again, and then you're gonna have to do it all over again. I also will note the 5th and final weather station is hidden. It's a bit harder and you'll need either blind luck or you'll have to find an annotated map if you want any hopes of finding this place. This shop is hella OP, honestly. Especially if you want to use it as the spawn point. I mean, you've got a big ass pile of cars to scrap or hotwire, you've got a fully functional gas pump, you've got an auto garage which spawns a solid pile of hardware and assorted loot. I mean, I managed to find a hammer, a screwdriver, a saw, thread, needle, and a crowbar in there alone, which gave me all the tools I need to really start fortifying and fixing up the rather large surrounding fence, and then I truly have a fortress on my hands. The house slash storefront itself is rather large as well, and has a large variety of loot, which can make your start pretty damn killer. It definitely works as a quick starter base, especially given the isolated part of the map it's on, which is by the Pony Romo and the secluded farmhouse. This place is easily an overpowered start. If you want to use this, I'd recommend you don't spawn in it, so you at least have to work for it. But overall, I like it. the design works nice, it's a good looking area. Another thing that sort of balances out though, is that it'll often spawn a large pile of zombies nearby. So if you start here, you may have to fight your way out with less than ideal tools. This is another fairly powerful map mod and base location. It's isolated, it has a fully functional gas pump, and it has 3 to 4 buildings on the property. Though the grain silo doesn't really add anything to the area outside of the fact that if you want you could climb inside the fence and hide from the zombies. The main building, that being a house, is on the southwest side of the property. It's a fairly large one-story home, and it contains a nice variety of loot within it, including a well-stocked garage, plenty of bedrooms for the whole gang, one of which has an arcade cabinet, so if you use the mod that allows you to play them, this becomes useful as well. The second building, which is more of a work building, contains more hardware loot and another kitchen, as well as some gun loot spawn points, though you'll have to crack down or crack open a few more security doors to get to everything. The final large building of interest on this property is the barn. This barn gives you yet another building to work with, more loot spawn points that spawn hardware and mechanics loot, and I even found a generator there in my testing. While it's a powerful mod for sure, the creator recognized this fact and chose to remove the ability to spawn here. So you have to at least work for it and make it out of Riverside a good way before you can get here and explore and claim this space as your own. This is a series of what is seemingly overgrown cottages and summer homes. Having everything you'd expect from this sort of place, there's a decent variety of loot to be found as you search inwards. But be wary, for the further you travel, the more unwell this area becomes. And that's saying something for the zombie apocalypse. Maybe there's a reason for all these homes to be so overgrown and hidden away before the apocalypse even started. Once you get deep enough, you'll find several homes burnt to the ground with small blockades in front of them. And once you get to the last house, which is a barricaded survivor home, you'll find the reason this place was abandoned long ago, as this sleepy little cluster of cottages was the home to a serial killer who collected his victims' skulls. Overall, this is a cool little place with some nice custom tile work and some well-built houses just right for someone to come in with a machete and clean the place up a bit. This area also functions as a spawn point if you want to just spawn just outside Muldraugh. This could be a very useful mod to make use of. There's also several stores and businesses here as well. This adds a nice little gas station, which is also conveniently located near the Pony Romo and the secluded farmhouse with a well. This one is considerably less overpowered though, as this one's a much smaller business, being primarily a gas station with a second floor home, much like the one on the road into Rosewood. This makes this a nice little base point with the extra seclusion offered due to its distance from most major population centers. But personally, I like the fact it adds a gas station that's much more of a reasonable distance and much safer to travel to from the farm, as that's my preferred base point in this region due to its well and wood-fired oven. Get a hold of a couple generators and you're sitting pretty either way you look at it. Though basing at the gas station is definitely made more tempting due to the fact the generator will power the pumps and you're home at the same time. If you don't mind traveling to the farmhouse for fresh water or hooking up a sink to rooftop rain barrels, you've got a fantastic hold point to weather both the hordes and the elements. Personally, this is probably my favorite of the new, smaller map mods, is this cozy little lighthouse. This area is right on the north side of Westpoint, northeast of the last house in Westpoint. This place isn't particularly fancy. It doesn't have a fully functioning gas station. It doesn't have the entire property barricaded with wrought iron fences. It doesn't have an unlimited supply of already fresh, clean drinking water, but it is nicely isolated. It has a small storage shed with a barbecue inside of it, and a nice high tower with a great view of the surrounding land. And if you feel the urge, really, this mod lights up my playthrough. It really lamps up the gameplay. I think that makes this mod tower over the rest. Honestly, this mod and Project Zomboid, yeah, I ship it. Alright, it's time for me to stop with the puns. I'm just coasting here. This is not where you came for me to deliver to you. But as you can see, there's no end. I think this has been a good amount of mods for coverage today. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy some of these mods for yourself later. I'd like to thank Kato Phoenix for her lovely artwork once again. Be sure to check her and me down below. This has been Core, and I'll see you next time.